Hello everyone, Charles Watts here. Welcome to Inside Arsenal and welcome to the Emirates, where the last few Arsenal fans who are still inside the stadium are just beginning to make their way home, and they're making way home very, very happy indeed after another thumping win for Arsenal in the Premier League. 4-1 this time. They didn't get the clean sheet this time, but 4 more goals to add to their tally, and their stunning start to 2024 in the Premier League continues. Back to within 2 points of Liverpool at the top of the Premier League. Newcastle simply blown away here at the Emirates by another excellent performance from Arsenal. The first half, that first 45 minutes is up there with the best performance you will see all season, not just by Arsenal but any team in the Premier League. They were that good. Newcastle would have sat back in that change room at half time very, very thankful that they were only a couple of goals down. Had they been 4 or 5-0 down, they would not have had any complaints whatsoever. Such was Arsenal's dominance in the first half. The intensity that they played with before the break was incredible, especially when you sort of factor in the fact they had the game in the Champions League midweek, they had to travel over to Portugal. You thought, were they going to be tired? Newcastle had a whole week to prepare for this. They were the team who was supposed to be fresh. But the way that first half panned out, if anyone looked like they'd been playing in Europe on Wednesday night away from home, it was Newcastle, certainly not Arsenal. They were absolutely on it from the start. In the first couple of minutes, Kai Havertz was just pressing, and that set the tone early on. Martin Odegaard absolutely tireless in that first half. Honestly, it was tiring just watching him. Just did not stop running, did not stop pressing, didn't give the Newcastle defenders a second's rest in that first half. And they just had no answer to Newcastle. They were hanging on. They somehow managed to get to the half-time 2-0 down. And like I said, had it been 4 or 5, they would have had no complaints. Martin Odegaard's just walking out in front of me now. He's going down to speak to Rio Ferdinand on the pitch side, and Martin Keown obviously here for TNT Sports. I don't know who's named man of the match by TNT, I haven't seen, but there was a whole host of them. I mean, personally, I think JORGINHO is absolutely exceptional. I'll talk about him a little bit later on in this video, but if it was Odegaard who got man of the match, I don't think anyone could have any complaints either. He was absolutely superb. Like I said, led by example, Martin Odegaard once again tonight. Arsenal, as I said, they were on it from the start, and they got an early goal, relatively early goal. It eventually came from a set piece. Brilliant delivery from Saka in the first half, sent in so many dangerous corners. Gabriel met it at the near post. The only surprise was he didn't actually score. His header was saved well by Karius, who was starting for Newcastle today. Only the second time Karius started. He kept out Gabriel's header, but as it sort of came back down, it landed against Sven Botman, who was on the floor, and deflected in over the line, and the referee gave it with the goal time technology. Somewhat ironic that Arsenal were awarded a goal against Newcastle due to technology showing that a ball was over the line. Anyone who doesn't take a genius to work out what I'm talking about there when it comes to Newcastle and Arsenal from earlier on in the season. But yeah, that was 1-0. It was 2-0 soon after. Kai Havertz with a goal. Havertz really did lead the line superbly, especially in the first half. JORGINHO, who, as I said, just controlled it. You won't see a better midfield performance than you saw from JORGINHO in that first half. Just controlled it. And it kind of, as I was watching it, all I was thinking was, why didn't you play against Porto on Wednesday night? Why didn't you start that game? I thought it was baffling at the time that he didn't start against Porto, and I certainly do now, having seen this performance. He was so good, pulling the strings, his passing just kept unlocking the back line at Newcastle were trying to keep tight, and his ball floated over the top. Lovely run by Martinelli, cut the ball back, and there was Havertz to turn it in for his 6th Premier League goal of the season. That was 2-0. There was plenty other chances before half-time. Saka was denied. Martinelli had a couple of shots, was sort of slashed just over. There was a Martinelli header from a brilliant bit of interplay between Saka and Odegaard down the right, ended with Saka crossing and Martinelli heading over. And there were countless other chances as well. Arsenal were just so dominant in that first half. So it went in 2-0, and you kind of wondered at that point. In the last few minutes of the first half, Newcastle began to get a little bit of a foothold in the game. Nothing majorly threatening, but you wondered, are Arsenal just playing for half-time here? And then the second half started. Havertz missed a sitter early in the second half, and a lovely play by Saka, and Martinelli fed him. He went through one-on-one. Probably felt like he maybe should have dinked the keeper, because the keeper came out, was right on top of him. He tried to slide it past him, but he rolled it past the far post. That would have made it 3-0 early in the second half, and you would have thought that Arsenal would have gone on and scored loads had that gone in. It didn't. Newcastle then began to grow into the game again a little bit, and you started to think, well, if they got one here, it could be a bit threatening. Isaac sent one over after a nice bit of play down the left. But then just as you began to worry that Newcastle could find a way back in, Arsenal made it 3-0 and absolutely killed the game off. And it was a lovely goal again. Bukayo Saka, I'm sitting here watching Rio Ferdinand down there, who we all know doesn't think Saka's world class. Well, if he's not, I don't know what world class is, because this was world class again from Saka. Got in down the right, cut inside. Havertz had played him in down the right, cut inside his man, bent it into the far corner. It took a slight little nick along the way off the defender, but it was certainly Saka's goal. It was going in, it was Saka's goal. That was 3-0, and that kind of sucked the life out of any chance of a Newcastle revival. It was 4-0 soon after. Jakub Kiwior, who again played very, very well playing in as a makeshift left back. He scored another goal from a set piece, swung in, glancing header, again took another slight deflection. But I think it will go down as Kiwior's goal. I haven't heard yet it's been taken off him, and that was 4-0. Joe Willock came on, and of course, the former Arsenal player scored late consolation, ended Arsenal's chance of keeping a third successive clean sheet. Lovely goal, actually. Fair play to him. Dan Burn got in, sent a cross in, and it was a nice looping header from Willock. No chance for Raya. Felt sorry for Raya because he played very well again, but didn't get his clean sheet. But that didn't take the gloss off to what was an excellent Arsenal win. Given, I think we were all a little bit worried about what the midweek defeat and the exertions of going over to Europe, how that would have an impact on them, especially against a fresh Newcastle team here today. But there was no need to worry at all. This was another dominant Arsenal performance. 6 wins in a row now to start 2024 in the Premier League. 25 goals in those 6 wins, only 3 goals conceded. It's a remarkable run of form. And like I said, they're back to within 2 points of Liverpool at the top of the table. Man City sitting in second after their win at Bournemouth earlier on today. You know, you saw that win for Man City. Thought, could Arsenal answer it? 100% they could. And Mikel Arteta will be absolutely delighted from what he saw from his side today. Right, player ratings at time. David Raya, as I said, obviously couldn't do anything with the goal. He'll be disappointed he didn't get his clean sheet, but everything he needed to do, he did very, very well. He was relatively untroubled in terms of shot stopping. I think there was only a couple of fairly comfortable saves that he had to make, but his distribution was good. As he always does, he holds that aggressive line in around on the edge of the penalty area, and that did come to Arsenal's aid a couple of times when Newcastle tried to play a long ball forward. He came out, he swept up really, really well. I thought he controlled his penalty area really well. It was a good performance from David Raya, gave him a 7. Ben White, especially in the first half, playing that inverted role as he's done in recent weeks, played it very, very well, looked really comfortable there, was heavily involved in Arsenal's link-up play in the central areas. Thought he had a good game, Ben White. I gave Ben White an 8, I think. I'm trying to remember my player ratings. I should remember them here. I gave Ben White an 8. Sorry, I'm going to have to hold on while I bring up my ratings. I don't want to get them wrong. Yeah, I gave Ben White an 8. Saliba, I gave a 7. Cruise control from him. First half, thought he played, he was barely troubled. Second half, when Newcastle came back into it a little bit, again, relatively untroubled. I gave him a 7. Gabriel, I gave an 8. Disappointed he didn't score that goal in the first half. I'm definitely disappointed because I've got him in my FPL team, and I thought that was going to be guaranteed points when I saw him steaming onto that Saka cross. But yeah, I thought he played well. He really enjoyed that sort of battle with Isaac, I thought, and he came out on top of it. So I gave him an 8. Kiwior, another solid display from him, as I said, as a stand-in left back. Played well, got his goal as well. Gave him a 7, which probably I could have rounded up to an 8 after that goal, but I'll keep him on a 7 for now. In midfield, JORGINHO, genuinely top class performance from JORGINHO. That first half, he was just pulled the strings, brilliant. All I could think of, as I said earlier on, was why didn't you play against Porto? Because I felt it would have been perfect for him. You watch this performance, I think it's absolutely perfect for him. JORGINHO, man of the match for me, 100%, hands down, 9 out of 10. Declan Rice, Newcastle struggled, especially in the first half, to control those runs from deep from him. He had one shot that was saved. That was still at 0-0 actually. That was one of Arsenal's first shots on goal. Strong performance from Declan Rice, gave him 7 out of 10. Martin Odegaard, as I said, honestly, I was knackered just watching him. I don't know how he keeps it up. The first half, it's just sprint after sprint, high intensity play after high intensity play. And it was, fabulous by Martin Odegaard. It's one of those games you're going to look at and think, he didn't score, he didn't get an assist or anything like that. But it was just a captain's performance from Martin Odegaard. Really, really thought he played well. So I gave him an 8 out of 10. In terms of the attackers, Bukayo Saka, really unlucky not to score in the first half, and he somehow worked himself a shooting spot when he thought, how did he even manage to get a shot away there? He had about 3 Newcastle players around him, but he twisted and turned, worked his way and had a shot. His set-piece delivery was fantastic in that first half. Unlucky not to get the assist when Gabriel's header was saved. Scored the goal in the third half that his performance deserved. Brilliant goal as well. It was one of those that you knew what he was going to do. Newcastle knew what he was going to do. Still couldn't stop him because he's that good. So 8 out of 10 I gave Saka. Havertz, like I said, he set the tone early on. In those first couple of minutes, he's pressing from the front. He really sort of harried and hustled the Newcastle defenders, knocked them off their stride in those first few minutes, and that set the tone. It got the atmosphere going. Scored his goal. Disappointed he didn't score when he went through one-on-one early in the second half. He should have scored, no doubt about it, but I still thought he had a good game, Kai Havertz. Another goal for him now, so that's 7 out of 10 for him. And Martinelli, I also gave a 7 out of 10. Brilliant run across to Saka's goal. really tireless performance from Martinelli down the left-hand side. He was replaced after about an hour, which I'm not surprised because he'd run himself into the ground. And he should have got a second assist with that pass that he laid through for Havertz when he put the shot wide. So I gave Martinelli a 7. The subs who came on, again, Mikel Arteta, because of the scoreline, because of the game state, he was really able to give players a rest. Like Saka went off early, Havertz went off early. Jorginho went off in the second half. There was, it was just excellent. Odegaard went off early as well, which is exactly what you want to do: manage the minutes, especially after such a demanding run for Arsenal. Smith Rowe came on, had a shot cleared off the line. So unlucky. You saw how disappointed he was as well when the full-time whistle went. He put his shirt over his head, just desperately wants to go. Smith Rowe. You can see he's been so close on a few times this season, not quite been able to find a target. And you can see he really, really wants that goal. But he played well. I thought he was lively. Really good cameo. Lovely run down the left-hand side late on as well, where he ran a good 70 yards with the ball and carried it into the Newcastle half. I gave him a 6. Trossard I thought was lively, bright little cameo, gave him a 6. And then who else came on? El Neni came on right at the end. Reece Nelson and Eddie couldn't really get involved too much when they came on, but they did keep things ticking over. So really enjoyable night once again. Can't really complain about watching Arsenal at the moment in the Premier League because the goals are coming and the wins are coming thick and fast. Like I said, 6 in a row now. I'll be back tomorrow to do this a lot more in depth, so if you want to get involved in tomorrow's show, do let me know your thoughts on tonight's performance, who played well, what impressed you, what didn't impress you. If there was anything from that didn't impress you, let me know in the comments below and I'll put them together and get them included in tomorrow's show. Right, that's it from me here at the Emirates where it's finished. Arsenal 4, Newcastle 1.